Hey, welcome to the Anchored Mind podcast. I'm Kristen,
And I'm Michael.
and we are on a mission to redefine care by combining counseling, nutrition, and fitness so that you can live a better life.
And part of living a better life involves your relationships. So we are going to dive into when sorry is not enough.
Mm,
Oftentimes in conflict, the most important part is repair. And sometimes when we repair, it requires just a little bit more.
yeah,
Hmm.
that stings. Let's learn more.
Let's do it.
All right, so I think these marriage conversations are kind of entertaining.
I mean, have you ever been in a conflict where your partner was trying to repair, but it kind of fell on deaf ears?
Yeah, I have.
And we're about to talk about it.
Woo,
Boy, it's been a long day.
fiery. I feel like I have really worked on my apology. And when I say I'm sorry to you, it feels from the heart. It feels genuine. And it almost brings me to tears when I say I'm sorry because it takes that much of me. Like I really feel genuinely sorry. But
Probably because you're such a performer.
the hard part is that, I have this big apology. I'm so sorry. And I really feel it. And then when I don't get that, when I don't feel that you've received that apology, ooh, it's heartbreaking for me.
It's not that I question you care or that the I'm sorry is genuine. I actually know it takes a lot of effort to even get to the point of saying I'm sorry. Some sometimes I assume positive intent, sometimes I assume negative intent. And what I mean by that is like positive intent, I know you really care and I know you want to repair. Negative intent, sometimes I think pride gets in the way.
Mhm.
And I think
I
that
can
comes from the
admit that.
fact that you consistently make such a concerted effort really in everything that you do. You're a high achiever, you're a high
Over here just
performer.
trying hard.
Yeah, but I watch you do that and it's what I had one of the things I admire most about you. It's one of the reasons I married you. And when we bump into conflict and neither of us planned on it and it's really unexpected,
And I can't fix it with
it
performance.
feels like correct. And
Mhm,
that's the rub. I
mhm.
feel like you end up protecting your performance over how I feel.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I don't want to deal with how I feel just as much as you don't want to deal with it. But I still feel left stuck with, okay, I'm sorry. And then what? Because for me, all I care about is, are we going to talk about how to prevent that from happening again?
Mhm. Mm. It's painful for me. And sadly enough, and we'll get to that in a
Wait,
second.
what's painful about that?
I think because it was probably really hard for me to get to that point, and then it feels like my apology was rejected or not received. And then what's so embarrassing is that we can sometimes enter a second argument or a second phase because then I have a reaction to you not receiving my apology, and that's really embarrassing, but it's true.
Yeah. So, therapist hat on for a second. That's where we will enter escalation,
Okay.
which is basically a fight. Instead of it being just a normal, healthy conflict that could
Mhm.
have ended well, we're entering fight because, well, it gets very complex, but most of the time, either both of our feelings have become now activated. So
Mhm.
now you need to be validated in how you feel.
Yeah.
I'm still waiting to be validated in how I feel. And maybe from that I said something dumb and upset you. And now I need to take responsibility, but I'm not ready to take responsibility because I'm still flooded with my own
Yeah.
emotion. And we go beyond logic at that point and we're drowning in our own emotions. And that's what leads to fight. And side note, that's the most dangerous for couples because when we get into repeated fights and escalate, those are like death of a thousand cut type moments. And to bring it back and come full circle, that's why I care so much about making sure when we repair, we talk about how to prevent it from happening again.
Yeah.
I'm so afraid of more cuts and eventually, sorry if this is morbid, bleeding out and our relationship just,
Goodness.
dying a slow death. It's so terrible, but
But it's true.
it's true.
Because those
And
are
I
the
appreciate you
arguments.
agreeing with that.
I know, because those are the arguments that are really hard to get out of. Once it gets past, like you're saying, once it becomes like both people's emotions and you almost don't even
You're
know.
stuck. It's a tornado.
Yeah, and you almost don't even know where it started anymore,
Correct.
and you're
That's the
just
fight.
both emotionally activated,
That's
right?
why the leading researchers say most couples fight about, drum roll,
Nothing.
nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We
Because
feel
really,
that.
yeah, when you escalate, it's like, and I have couples come into the therapy room all the time. I'll ask them, so they'll reference a recent fight, and I'll ask them, do you remember what you were fighting about? And they say, they both struggle to remember. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
But that's not them. That's all human beings, because when the tidal wave of emotion takes over and you're drowning in it, and there's two people drowning in it, it's all about how you feel. It has nothing to do with what you even had a difference about. Back to the root of the cause of the conflict, it's usually because two people had a difference of preferences, a difference of feelings, a, a difference of priorities or values,
Mhm.
and that's a conflict. So a healthy approach to conflict is acknowledging that.
Mm.
It's literally just calling out, what are our differences here? And is one of us going to maybe self-sacrifice, or are we going to try and compromise? And then ultimately, are we moving towards what the relationship needs, or just what one of us needs?
Mhm. So, can we go back to how, like, to my role in that scenario? Let's just use the example of how your feelings were activated first, and it's my job to apologize for however I caused those feelings. What keeps me, because you know me best and you know our pattern, and I'm working on this pattern really, I really am. And I've gotten better at my apologies and working through like how to prevent it next time and understanding the origin and stuff like that. But it still happens with us. But what happens in that moment that prevents me from staying in the moment with your emotion? Like, why do I bring it back to me and then all of a sudden I'm activated?
Oh, honey, I think
Here we
I think we're
go.
getting into a little bit of childhood.
Oh, okay.
Well, it's just this. There's so many nuances here, and
But there's gotta be
this
people out there like me, right?
that's kind of what I'm getting at.
Okay.
Yeah. So be validated here.
Okay.
Yeah. I think the unfortunate part is there's an interpretation of mental health from a relational attachment perspective that if you're a certain level of independence, part of that is essentially the belief that I am not responsible for other people's feelings.
Mm,
And arguably, that's actually a healthy perspective. You're not responsible for other people's feelings. Dot, dot, dot. Unless you
you're in
care
a
about that
relation
relationship.
unless you're in a relationship.
And then when you're in an intimate relationship, it's, of course, it's even harder. And we're compromised by our own unpredictable emotional activations, which are triggers.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, you step on a landmine that you couldn't have seen or predicted, but also neither could I. And let's say I'm triggered, I have an emotional activation, and I didn't plan on feeling that way. You didn't plan on me feeling that way. It is a huge inconvenience at that point. It is unproductive. It's inefficient. It's all the things that I tell other men who come in that, yeah, emotions are weak. Absolutely, they're weak. And they do slow things down. And we should slow down because that is the point of connection. When I have to be vulnerable and say, honey, you hurt my feelings. I don't say that. But if I'm saying something like that, like, hey,
Mhm.
I got an emotion that came up that doesn't feel good. I think you might have a part in it. It's hard enough to let you in on that because I don't want you to see me as weak or needy or anything like that. But then for you to take some type of step in taking responsibility,
Mhm.
it just reinforces that you care. And that's all that the emotion needs is, okay, I'm not alone in this. She does care, or she didn't mean to hurt me, or she didn't mean to disrespect me, or whatever it was. And then that's really it. That's all it needs. That's the I'm sorry. That's the I recognize you feel this way. And then part two, which is what I'm hungry for, I go back up to logic brain. Okay, solution mode, How do we prevent that from happening again?
Yeah.
That did not feel good. I don't like when that happens to me or both of us. So can we talk about how that, and I think I'm talking a lot, sorry. I think when we get to that point, your frustration is now activated. And
Mhm.
maybe this is where you can give me some insight because I don't know. But I think you get frustrated, not that the I'm sorry is not good enough. I think you just want to get out of that like pocket of discomfort. I think it's
Yeah.
uncomfortable for there to be tension. Um, I think I used to think it had to do more with performance, but maybe it's not just that. Maybe you don't care that something wrong happened. Maybe it's more just I don't want to sit here in the feelings with
I
you.
think I would be more comfortable just fixing it and moving forward. And so sitting in those feelings with you, accepting responsibility that I can't fix them and that I need to lean into them is uncomfortable for me, for sure.
So are we actually agreeing here
We
that
we are.
if we talk about how to prevent it from happening again, neither one of us wants that?
Yeah, but this is for all the people that maybe can see themselves in me a little bit, is that I have to actually this is what helps me, is if I can practice not defending my position, not defending my performance, not kind of letting it be about me, and just trying to focus on the fact that I care about your experience on the other side of me.
Mhm.
Even if I don't agree with it, or even if I have all this
Mhm.
information that, like, to me invalidates your experience, that's not the
Or fixes
point.
it.
It's like you want to feel that I care about what it felt like on the other side of me.
Yeah, and as a stereotypical guy in some ways, I do the same thing. When you have a feeling that comes up and it upsets you and then you let me in on it, of course, like the natural response is going to be, I'm going to try and fix it in some way. And the most common way to do that is to defend. If you could just understand
Mhm.
my intention or where I was coming from, it would change your emotion. It would fix it.
Right.
But to your point, that's invalidation and it probably just pours gas in the fire.
Yeah, that's I try and fight feelings with logic sometimes, and then it just makes things worse, and
Right.
I
Yeah.
end up defending the information and the logic behind it and my intentions, and then all of a sudden my feelings are activated, and
Right.
yeah,
Which is basically like you shouldn't feel that way.
yeah.
Yeah.
And that's not what I'm meaning to communicate. It's
Right.
just relearning how to stay with your emotion. Like, don't let it become about me. I'll have a chance to maybe speak to my part of it, but this is not the time, right?
Yeah.
This
Ideally.
is hard,
But it
but
goes both ways. There's plenty of times where I have to be in that position too. And yeah, I think you just nailed it. It's how do we make sure that the person who has the ball gets to hold on to the ball until there's a repair. And
mhm,
hopefully, they don't abuse it or anything, their position, but they can pass the ball to the other person and we can take turns and keep it fair, like a good old tennis match or any other popular sport where there's an exchange of a ball.
yeah.
Like it's the same thing in a conflict, ideally.
So let's say that both parties mean well and they just accidentally get into this. I think I mean, this is what you do professionally. So I think that you are skilled at helping us get out of those moments. I mean, not every time. Sometimes you're emotionally activated and it's hard for you to
That's not true.
help us
I'm perfect.
help us out of those scenarios. But like let's give an example of how to get out of it. If you're the one who can see what's happening and the other person's kind of drowning in that moment, how do you help us like try and get out of it before it gets too bad?
I think it's easy for us to sit here talking about it
Yeah.
and be logical about it and, explain it. But the anatomy of a conflict escalating into a fight, there's so many nuances. And honestly, each of them are different, even though most couples have their own common denominator, perpetual emotional patterns. And they just end up fighting about different things
Mhm.
on as the numerator. So for us, our common denominator, our perpetual emotional problem is I, and this probably goes back to my childhood, I need your sensitivity. I need your support. And when I'm feeling a negative emotion, whether it's stress that doesn't come from you, or let's say disrespect that you didn't mean to make me feel, but I feel it, either way still need your sensitivity and support. I need you leaning in. Well, part of your growing up experience has contributed to you being more avoidant.
Mhm.
And when you feel a negative emotion on the other side of you, you're not going to want to lean in. I mean, literally, you were trained directly and indirectly to lean out into, well, your feelings are not my responsibility.
Mhm.
And again, in some cases, that's healthy. But in our case, that makes it a lot harder for me. And then obviously, this is subconscious. I end up making it a lot harder for you because in some ways, I'll criticize or blame or do the wrong things. Those are the wrong approaches to get what I need. And in that process, not only am I coming across as selfish at that point, I am straight up pissing you off. And I don't
Yeah.
even mean to, but it's happening. And now we're escalating, right?
Right, we started
Because
with something very
neither of
small
us,
and it's, like, out of
yes.
control.
Yeah. And
Mhm.
neither of us are getting what we need. You're getting the opposite of any appreciation for your efforts thus far. You're not getting any credit for your work and
I'm feeling rejected,
no
I came
loyalty.
looking for a
Yep.
genuine apology and I didn't do it right or something, yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah. And you know what? Here's to the complexity of it and there not being a black and white solution because even me pursuing a repair from you could also include me placating a little bit. Like I could say, "Hey, thank you for this sorry." And you have said that. You could at least thank me for saying I'm sorry or like acknowledge that I tried. And
Yeah.
you're totally right. I could work on that. And I think that would help me get more of what I need, which is that second piece. Hey, can we just talk about
Mhm.
some type of understanding? I want to prevent that from happening again. And I think when you hear that, it's like, oh, we got to stay in this longer and drag this out. Can we just check the box and move on? You're smiling as if that's accurate. Okay.
I mean, it is, but we've gotten to the point in marriage where when we stay in that conversation and we truly repair, there's such a reward on the other side that even though it can be tough for me because that's not what I'm necessarily comfortable or used to doing, it is so worth it because there's just such a repair and connection and you feel good and I feel good and we both are like have this mutual understanding to go forward with and it's very rewarding.
You know what I love most about this episode?
What?
That if we bump into a conflict again, I now have a reference point.
We can listen to this over and
Yeah.
over.
Remember you said that on a podcast.
I
So
know.
now you have to
But
repair.
it can be very hard to do in the moment, and that's why we're talking
Yeah.
about
It
this
is
because
hard.
it's just very once your emotions are activated, it's very difficult
It
for
is hard.
anybody,
And
no
I,
matter if you're a therapist or not.
yeah, no matter, yeah, of course. We're all human. And I think anything that anyone has put effort into, um, and any level of intentionality, naturally, there's going to be some healthy pride behind that.
Mhm.
And if we're putting energy, effort, and intentionality into an approach, especially an apology, of course, it's natural that that person's going to probably become a little upset that, hey, I tried and it's not even being recognized. There's literally, I'm not moving the mark at all.
Yeah.
Um, but I think that's where my part comes in and knowing that about you. And then your part comes in with, in that moment, if he doesn't respond well to the initial apology, can I give him grace? I know he needs support, sensitivity, and he's obviously not his best right now because he's compromised by that stress or that disrespect or that being upset. And that would be ideal. But again, this is where it takes two. You know, I,
Yeah. So if someone is, perpetually kind of stuck in conflict like that or seeing these escalations happen and not knowing even the origin of the arguments or how they got there, what would you suggest? What's like a tip or something to look for or like something they can walk away with and try and implement or be aware of next time that happens?
well, you teed that up. I mean, this is really where I think people benefit from going to counseling.
Mm.
Couples counseling helps you understand these perpetual emotional patterns and gaining tools around communication and conflict resolution to help people not change who they are, but to communicate in a more effective way. And we have really conclusive research that backs that up. Um,
So, can I interject?
yeah,
So, it sounds like that trying to approach these perpetual things with curiosity, because if you can approach them with curiosity, like what's going on here,
if you can.
If you can't, yeah, it's a little difficult.
Most people
Okay.
most people move towards judgment because that's what keeps us safe.
Mhm.
And that moves us into criticism and blame to try and control and fix and treat basically an emotional problem as if it's a logical one. Well, that's not just you. That's I mean, I'm guilty of that too, and most people do that.
Yeah.
Um, so that's kind of where couples counseling really helps. And if people are, let's say, I don't want to I want to generalize this on purpose because again, there's a lot of complexity. But if people are generally healthy, meaning they are normal functioning, like they're able to go to work and wake up consistently and go to bed consistently and have minimal alcohol and live a, I would say, a normal functioning life, but they keep bumping into perpetual conflict, then couples counseling is going to be pretty short term.
Mm.
They'll get the skills they need, and if it's a good therapist, they'll make sure they're not wasting their time and money. Where we get into the need for having individual counseling is when we're bumping into, let's say, these deeper emotional issues, which really are just feedback points around wounds that have yet to be healed. And it could be grief from years ago, it could be wounds from a traumatic background, neglect, abuse of any type. So
Could be
there's
as
all kinds of
simple
stuff.
as like me feeling like me not understanding why it's rejecting for me, or like why my feelings get involved when
Yeah,
my
feelings are feedback.
yeah, feelings are feedback. Okay, there
Feelings
we
are
go.
feedback. They're just messengers. So back to your word of curiosity, if we can practice curiosity around, why am first of all, what am I feeling? I need to
Yeah.
identify it. And then why am I feeling that? Where is it coming from? And is it possible that I need to do a little bit more digging, maybe collaboratively with a professional, so that I can really understand that not only does that emotion keep coming up because there's a problem, but what if I dig a little, there might actually be a solution. I'm not going to necessarily fix a wound, but just by becoming aware of a wound and why it's dispatching certain emotions in our mind and body, awareness alone actually is a sense of control.
Mhm.
And then this is the best part. Once you become aware of the emotion and the source, no longer do those emotions influence what you say and what you do because you're aware of them.
Mhm.
That's therapy.
Pretty transformational.
I would hope so. That's the goal.
Yeah.
So I look forward to our next conflict. I feel like it would go a lot smoother after this conversation.
All practice sticking with your emotion,
And I
and
will practice appreciating your effort and validating your,
maybe help
I'm
me.
sorry.
Like if I do say, if I kind of like start stealing, like taking the ball, maybe if you have the ability, you can kind of help me like
That's
back
the
up a
thing.
little
If
bit.
I have the ability,
Yeah.
if I'm not drowning in
Your own
the,
feelings.
the temporary emotions at that
Yeah.
moment, yeah. Sitting here, yeah, it's easy to say, oh, yeah, I'll totally do that next time. But in the moment,
It's hard.
as those of us who experience some of those unexpected and potent emotions, it is hard.
Yeah.
It's hard not to be selfish, and it's hard to focus on, or it's hard to focus on what the relationship needs over what you need in that moment, especially if you've had some type of history. So
Yeah. Cool.
yeah, all right, ready to go to dinner?
Ready.
Great.